Zelensky's irritation, his visible petulance, if one wants to be unkind, is hardly surprising. If anyone has earned the right to be exasperated, it's the man who has spent the last 3 years fighting off an existential war while navigating the fickle currents of Western support. And let's not forget, he's a trained actor. Petulance, theatricality, righteous indignation, these are as much tools of his trade as they are of Donald Trump's. Indeed, Zelensky and Trump share more in common than either would probably care to admit. Both are performers turned politicians, men who understand the potency of a well-delivered soundbite and the value of personal branding. But whereas Zelensky's career was built on satire, Trump's was built on self-mythology and reality TV. Zelensky once parodied politicians. Trump became one. And now, in the last act of their unfolding drama, they've been cast as antagonists in a bitter diplomatic feud. The hostility between them is hardly a shock. Trump's relationship with Ukraine has always been transactional at best, dismissive at worst. His infamous 2019 phone call with Zelensky, the one that led to his first impeachment, already set the tone. Trump saw Ukraine as a tool, a bargaining chip in his domestic political machinations. Now, as he eyes a return to this world and has taken his seat in the White House, he's doubled down on precisely that perspective. Ukraine is, to Trump, a problem to be dealt with, not an ally to be supported. And Zelensky, for his part, is deeply aware of Trump's unpredictability and, crucially, his vanity. He's seen firsthand how flattery can sway Trump. His initial handling of the former president, now current president, was pitch perfect, laced with deference and strategic praise. But times have changed, and faced with a Republican who is now openly courting Russian interests, Zelensky has abandoned subtlety in favor of direct confrontation. And his accusation that Trump is trapped in a disinformation bubble is more than just a rebuttal. It's a calculated move to frame Trump as weak, gullible, and manipulated by Putin. And Zelensky's irritation is therefore not just an emotional reaction, it's also a performance. He knows how the game is played now. If he appears too passive, he risks looking like a suppliant, a man pleading for Western generosity. If he's too aggressive, he risks alienating the very allies he needs. His irritation, his sharp retorts, his visible frustration, they are all calibrated to send a message. Ukraine is not a pawn, and he is not a suppliant. He is not begging for help. Trump, however, is playing a different game altogether. His dismissive tone, his casual rewriting of history, blaming Ukraine for its own invasion, his bombastic claims about Zelensky's dictatorship, these are not the statements of a man interested in policy, but of a man interested in dominance. Trump is not debating Ukraine's future, he's asserting his power over it. His rhetoric is designed to humiliate Zelensky, to reduce him from a wartime leader to a mere modestly successful comedian who got lucky. It's an old Trumpian trick. If you can't win the argument, delegitimize the opponent. And beneath the theatrics lies a deeper global reality. Trump's disdain for Ukraine is not just personal, it's strategic. And his approach to foreign policy is pure deal-making. What does America gain? He sees Ukraine as an expensive, thankless burden, and he sees Russia as a potential partner in his grand vision of America first. Zelensky, meanwhile, sees Trump's resurgence as an existential threat. And this new presidency could mean the end of US support for Ukraine, the dismantling of Western unity, and ultimately a victory for Putin, a victory for the aggressor. Thus, Zelensky's irritation is not just about Trump's words, it's about what they represent. And Trump is not just another political opponent, he is a symbol of Ukraine's deepest fear, of being abandoned. And so Zelensky does what he does best. He fights back with words, with presence, with the calculated fury of a man who refuses to let history cast him as a victim. Both men are actors. Both men are adept at manipulating the media, and both understand that in the theatre of politics, perception is everything. But they are performing for very different audiences. Zelensky plays to the West, to democratic allies who need reassurance that Ukraine is still worth fighting for. Trump, meanwhile, plays to his base, an audience less concerned with Ukraine's survival than with the notion that America should no longer foot the bill. The result? A spectacle, a war of words that, while fascinating to watch, carries profound consequences. Because beneath Zelensky's irritation and Trump's derision lies the stark reality of Ukraine's precarious position. If Trump returns to power, the petulance of today is the desperation of tomorrow.